Okay, so today I will be presenting you several reasons why the proposal of a single 6-year presidential term is unnecessary and goes against what the United States of America stands for. My first point against the 6-year term is it goes directly against the ideals of democracy. Arthur Schlesinger Jr., a Pulitzer Prize winner, had this to say about the 6-year single term in an article for the New York Times. It assumes presidents know better than anyone else what is best for the country, and that people are so wrong-headed and ignorant that presidents should be encouraged to disregard their wishes. It assumes that the less responsive a president is to popular desires and needs, the better president he will be. It assumes that the democratic process is the obstacle to our wise decisions. Also, Lawrence Schack had this to say about the 6-year presidential term. The theory of democracy is that government is supposed to be egalitarian, participatory, open, non-coercive, and responsive to the demands of individuals and groups. Free and open elections are the mechanism which safeguard this principle. Essentially, changing the term length of the president and eliminating re-election, the people lose their power to choose whether or not a president is worthy of continuing in office. Therefore, democracy as a whole would be taking a big hit and lose its prevalence. My second point against the 6-year term is that 6 years would be too long for a poor president and too short for a successful president. So Thomas Jefferson, after initially favoring a single, what at the time was a 7-year term, thought more carefully and changed his mind. He had this to say: 7 years, he concluded, were too long to be irremovable. Service for 8 years with the power to remove at the end of the first 4 was the way to do it. And also, President Woodrow Wilson agreed with this by saying, by seeking to determine by fixed constitutional provisions what the people are perfectly competent to determine by themselves, we cast a doubt upon the whole theory of popular government. Also, with the longer term length, it only increases the risk that our president is proven unfit or incapable of carrying out that position. While being in presidency for 2 more years without removal, I have 2 prime examples of this scenario. We have President Jimmy Carter and President Herbert Hoover. So under the leadership of both Hoover and Carter, both had lost public confidence prior to the conclusion of their initial terms in office. Consequently, to hold that more time in office inevitably increases good government is an overstatement. More time would have likely made matters worse. My third point is that a single 6-year term would free the president of accountability. Schlesinger highlights this point by saying, a single 6-year term would release presidents from the test of submitting their records to the voters. It would enshrine the president knows best myth, which has already got us into sufficient trouble as a nation. It would be a mighty blow against presidential accountability. It would be a mighty reinforcement of the imperial presidency. It would be an impeachment of the democratic process itself. The Founding Fathers were right when they turned down this well-intentioned but ill-considered proposal 200 years ago. Because the president knows he has no worries of running for a new term, he will be a lame duck the second he gets inaugurated. Because of this, the president would be free to act in any manner he pleased, whether that be in a professional manner or not. Taking away the public's right of evaluating the president through re-election gives the president an unwarranted amount of power to act with disregard to public opinion. So Oliver Ellsworth, another founding father, had this to say: a president should be re-elected if his conduct proved worthy of it, and he will be more likely to render himself worthy of it if he be rewardable with it. This leads me to my final point, that the desire for re-election leads to a more responsive president. As the president seeks the public's approval, he will therefore act in accordance with what the people want. This directly translates into democracy as a rule by majority ideal takes place. This point is reiterated by Clark Clifford, who had this to say to Senate committee when they were considering a 6-year term proposal. A president immunized from political considerations is a president who need not listen to the people, respond to the majority sentiment, or pay attention to views that may be diverse, intense, and perhaps at variance with his own. Concerns for one's own political future can be a powerful stimulus to responsible and responsive performance in office. Also, motivated by the desire to maximize votes, a president would act in society's favor. Making a 6-year term would not remedy presidential credibility, eliminate skepticism, and elevate the presidency to a level where good government is guaranteed. Ultimately, seeking re-election leads to a better government, and the 6-year term would completely eliminate this. In most presidential minds, the desire for a re-election becomes equivalent to the need to take the probable reactions of his electoral superiors into careful account. For the most part, a president will be approved by the electorate. This is precisely the way in which democratic control is most tangibly, consistently, and meaningfully exercised, as presidents routinely calculate how actions will be received by the electorate. Thank you.